Ravnica Allegiance is the second set in our third trip to the plane of Ravnica, but this trip to Ravnica is different. A lot has happened around the game of Magic since our initial two trips to this plane. As much as I want this trip to have that familiarity of going home, seeing old friends, and feel that bittersweet pull of nostalgia, we are unfortunately returning for a battle of the ages. The sun is setting and feels like it now inevitably rises to war. This revisit has been unlike any other as well, in that we were given an incredible behind-the-scenes look as to what we could expect and how these changes would affect the art and feel of the set. Here's Don Murin explaining some of those changes during the 2018 spring announcement.
We were very cognizant of the familiarity that the fans have with the setting because it's been around for a while. And so we felt it was very important to deliver on those expectations. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we were also giving you something new and exciting. So it's the same Ravnica you know and love, but just with a little twist. So the first thing you'll see in the artwork in general is a change of seasons. It is now autumn on Ravnica. You're going to see foliage changing color. You're going to see autumn leaves blowing across wet pavement, gray skies, citizens bundled up against the chill and the wet and the rain, you know, kind of like Seattle. We also decided to do some costume updates for some of the guilds and do some things that we felt would bring the costuming more in line with their perceived role in the setting.
When I look back at a set of Magic, the memorability of each is anchored by the artwork. Hearing Dawn speak about the artistic changes in the spring announcement jumped out to me as the highlight of that video. Above the gameplay and drafting and the changes each set brings to competitive play or my EDH decks, I am most hopeful for art that will pull me in and I can feel the emotion of the moment depicted on each card. With war on the horizon and tension building, how does the art of Ravnica Allegiance tell this story? To start, the foundation of Ravnica, the guilds and the roles each play are changing, and though we don't know what the end result will be, it is clear everyone has an agenda. Each guild's loyalty is not as seemingly obvious, nor are the objectives of their leaders and guild masters. Most are caught between what they want to do, what they should do, the public turmoil, and their own internal battles. You may already know that each guild has a leader, a guild master of sorts, or in the Orzhov Syndicate's case, they have the Ghost Council, the Obzedet. Well, had the Obzedet. Here we see a huge change to the foundation of this guild, where Kaya is desolating the Obzedet as only she can, seen here in Kaya's Wrath. The Simic Combine has Zagana, the former Prime Speaker, now plotting and planning behind Vannifar, the new Prime Speaker's back, as we see here in the flavor text of one of the new Simic guild gates. Rule doesn't have so much internal turmoil, rather they are causing constant chaos as they await the prophecy of the Endrays and Ilharg the Razeboar, who is to come and destroy the city of Ravnica. And if you're familiar with the story and what the past few years have been building up to outside and around the game of Magic, you may know Nicol Bolas is coming. Or is he already here? Emergency Powers is a rather obvious reference to Nicol Bolas, but what is Dovin doing here? Dovin, the Azorius Planeswalker in this set, who has the power to see the weakness in basically everything, and the current leader of the guild that writes the laws of Ravnica, is clearly in communication with Bolas. So is he depicted here sending Bolas the blueprints of an attack? Are these the secrets that will result in the destruction of Ravnica? And why is Dovin already thinking and counting the Planeswalkers? In the card Dovin's Acuity, he even lists Nicol Bolas as the last one to round out an even 6 in the flavor text. Is Dovin signaling Nicol Bolas as the chaos rises to come and in that moment swoop in unabated? Or again, maybe Nicol Bolas is already here. Look through every card of both Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiance, and from this pool of 518 cards, there is one single card that quotes Nicol Bolas, which I find odd as he is the primary catalyst for everything leading up to this inevitable war. Just one card, Font of Agonies, and Bolas is saying here, no worthwhile reward is easily gained. He is certainly ready for a fight, but this artwork is clearly of a place underground. He could definitely be lurking here, hidden here, already on Ravnica. And if he is he hiding? Is he waiting for the right moment to strike? Clearly there is more happening in the shadows than we know. Beyond the mysteries of the darkness flowing through Ravnica, there are a couple bright spots in this set. Aurelia, the Boros Guildmaster here for Angelic Exaltation, is the focal point of the artwork. Unfortunately, this is as bright and hopeful an image we will find in Ravnica Allegiance. Just about every other image in the set gives us the feeling of a grim tomorrow. The days beginning and ending in gray, there is a sense of melancholy that cannot be shaken off. And as the drums of war beat louder and louder each day, it becomes more and more apparent that each of these days may be the last for the citizens of Ravnica. But then again, no matter how gloomy it seems, no matter what alternate timelines may suggest of what could be, not all have given up on their responsibility or hope itself. We see warnings from the Sphinxes, their loyalty uncorrupted, unlike that of the guilds once thought to be the protectors of this plane. I suppose this could be simply a more literal example of there being no loyalty among thieves, since here on Ravnica, in this very moment, there is so much at stake. But what is motivating our key characters? Because clearly not everyone has the same motivations. If we look back at Azorius, it would appear we are seeing dissension in the ranks between Dovin and Lavinia. Dovin seems proud, unabashed, undaunted in his images, but Lavinia appears to be pursuing an agenda unknown to Dovin. It would seem most guild masters and leaders are needing to focus on battles both inside and outside their guilds. But, wait, that's not true for every guild. Actually, Rakdos wants you to come and look at what they're up to. Come inside one of their carnival tents and you'll see not every guild has lost their sense of joy and purpose. Although this joy does come at the expense of others, Rakdos is certainly the guild that seems least affected, least distracted, and worried by the gloom sweeping through the streets of Ravnica. The Rakdos cult never shies away from a stage and is always willing to showcase their art. Those watching are, while their expressions largely speak for themselves. Tajik offers a warning as well in the flavor text for Bedevil, one of the more iconic images of Ravnica allegiance, acknowledging the questionably attractive qualities of the cult, but make no mistake, they are as dangerous as they are captivating. And as we stare at this image by Seb McKinnon, there's a sense of helplessness and anger. It is entirely representative of those who fall victim to the cult. But we could go deeper and just see this as more of a symbolic reference that evil here, in this unfiltered manner, is exactly where it wants to be, doing exactly what it wants to do, leaving those depicted as innocent or bystanders helplessly at its mercy. And that is a frightening place to be. For the cult of Rakdos, the fire, the performance, and the pain during their performances creates this seemingly unhampered joy for the cult. If anything, the promise of war allows them to perform as often as they like and follow the beat of their own drum, the drumming and rhythm of mayhem. But how can they seem so detached from the fact that war is looming on the horizon? Don't they fear Nicol Bolas and his plans for Ravnica? And I guess all I can pull from the art is, no, it doesn't seem like it. Their leader, Rakdos, has seemingly been unaffected or maybe untargeted or also undaunted by Bolas. I suppose when you're the founding demon of a guild on Ravnica, you have something going for you, or maybe Rakdos has all it needs and just wants to be entertained. And you may think Rakdos as a demon would have similar goals or outcomes for the city of Ravnica as Bolas, but it appears through the art that they have very different visions for the future. For Rakdos, maybe he wouldn't want anything to change from the way it is now. For Bolas, I find it safe to assume that victory ends with a vision that falls in line more with Gruul's prophecy of the Razebor's imminent return. But then Bolas may even want to take it a step further, leaving no one left to challenge him in any way. Both would say the city ablaze is most likely a good thing, as a move in the right direction, even though fire burns indiscriminately, not just the homes of one's enemies. The Gruul must not mind, though, as they have been forced to live on the outskirts as barbarians, wanderers of the wild, and this is what justice looks like for them. If that's what victory looks like for one side, for those that want death and destruction, what does it look like for the other, for those that want life and peace and prosperity? What about the Simic and all their experiments? Will those prove to be a path forward? Even if they were, though, it would be incorrect to say Simic would be or should be the guild to step in or intervene above any other guild. Maybe to them it's not if destruction comes, but when. Yes, it would seem they do not think they can stop the war, but rather are already preparing to rebuild, to start anew from nothing but a seed. They are ready to fight and to be the new beginning, as they must feel this is what must come to pass. And as I look across the set, I try and put myself in the mind of a citizen of Ravnica. Some must be caught up in the wonder of it all, some oblivious or naive, others fearful for their lives, and most simply hopeful that the forces that have protected their families will continue to do so. Surely some must think the chains that kept criminals and those that would do them and their family harm can handle whatever threat is coming next, right? Surely the beasts and savages on the outskirts won't reach me and my family, or maybe this growing concern in the back of their minds has been dulled by denial, and they now realize they're too far gone to ever go back. Perhaps most now see it as a time to pick up their swords, dust off helmets, and prepare as best they can for the enemies at their doorstep. It is inevitable after all. So what do you think will happen? Where is Bolas? What is each guild planning, and who will ultimately survive? In the art, I find a constant uneasiness, possibly because there is nothing definitive about what awaits us in and on the other side of this war. I'm sure it will all make sense in hindsight, but if I was there right now, all I could think of, all I could cling to, is the hope that I will make it to the other side, to look back on and remember it, and not end up as someone to be looked back upon and remembered. The art of Ravnica Allegiance is fantastic. Each image I found really depicted the growing tension, the uneasiness of the day, and I hope that this video helped you see it a bit clearer as well. If you liked the video, you can help me out by subscribing, sharing it with other people who love Magic and the art of the set, and the fantastic art of this game, and leaving a comment with something like, what is your favorite guild in Ravnica Allegiance, or what's your favorite artwork? Really would help out a lot. I love chatting with you all in the comments, and it would be much appreciated. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you all for watching.